In the year 20,753, the Galactic Council chamber was filled with a chaotic mix of languages and voices. Representatives from hundreds of advanced species sat in their seats, their forms as diverse as the stars themselves. Some were tall and slender, others small and insect-like, while a few shimmered with colors that changed with every word they spoke. At the center of this gathering was a lone human, Ambassador Diana Hayes. Diana stood tall despite the pressure of being the only Earthling in the room. Her navy blue uniform bore the Earth Federation insignia, and her face was calm, even though her heart pounded. She had spent weeks preparing for this moment, Earth's request to join the Galactic Council as a respected member. When it was finally her turn to speak, the chamber fell silent. Diana cleared her throat and began. Esteemed members of the Galactic Council, Earth stands ready to contribute to the galaxy. Our innovations in renewable energy, medicine, and space travel can benefit all. We seek partnership, respect, and the chance to grow alongside you. For a brief moment, there was silence. Then, from the far side of the room, a deep guttural laugh erupted. It was Councillor Voreth of the Threxian Empire, his reptilian eyes gleaming with amusement. Respect, he hissed, his voice amplified by the chamber's acoustics. From a species that only recently crawled out of its gravity well, your request is entertaining. Others joined in the laughter, a ripple that turned into a wave. Diana clenched her fists, her nails digging into her palms, but she refused to show weakness. Earth may be young compared to your civilizations, she replied firmly, but our determination and ingenuity are unmatched. Voreth leaned forward, his sharp teeth glinting. Ingenuity. Determination. Words of a desperate species trying to mask its insignificance. Humanity is a backwater anomaly, barely worth noticing. You should be grateful we even let you speak here. The chamber erupted in agreement. Species after species hurled insults, their words dripping with disdain. Diana scanned the room, noting the smirks and sneers on faces both familiar and alien. Yet, in the back corner, a figure shrouded in shadows remained silent. She couldn't make out their features, but their presence was unnerving. Finally, the council leader, a translucent being known as Chairperson Lyra, struck their gavel. Enough. Earth's request is denied. This session is adjourned. As Diana exited the chamber, her heart ached with anger and humiliation. The rejection wasn't just a diplomatic failure. It was a direct insult to humanity itself. But as she stepped into the corridor, her communicator buzzed. It was a message from President Alexander Kane. His voice, calm yet resolute, filled her earpiece. Ambassador, return to Earth immediately. The Council's insult will not go unanswered. Back on Earth, the broadcast of the Council's session spread like wildfire. Every human, from the bustling cities of Mars to the underwater colonies of Europa, watched in disbelief. The galaxy didn't just reject Earth, it mocked it. Outrage boiled over, protests erupted, and social media platforms were flooded with calls for action. We will not be ignored. Humanity deserves respect. In the presidential office, Alexander Kane stood before his advisors. His sharp gaze swept over the room. They think we're weak, he said. They think we'll accept this insult and move on. But humanity has never been one to kneel. One of his advisors, General Marcus Steele, stepped forward. Sir, we've kept Project Phoenix hidden for decades. Maybe it's time to show the galaxy what humanity is truly capable of. President Kane nodded slowly. Begin preparations. The galaxy will see that Earth is not to be underestimated. Far away, in the shadows of the Galactic Council chamber, the silent figure from earlier remained seated long after everyone else had left. A faint smile played on their lips. Humans, they murmured. So fragile, yet so dangerous. This will be interesting. The stage was set. Humanity's humiliation was only the beginning. The president's message to humanity echoed across every colony, ship, and outpost. The call was clear. Earth would no longer tolerate being treated as insignificant. It was a rallying cry, one that ignited a fire in the hearts of billions. In the weeks that followed the Galactic Council's insult, the planet shifted into a state of unprecedented unity. Factories worked around the clock, the hum of machinery never ceasing. Research stations on the Moon and Mars, once dedicated to civilian advancements, were now redirected to classified projects. At the heart of it all was Project Phoenix, Earth's most guarded secret, a shadowy initiative whispered about in military circles and denied by every official. Its purpose was simple yet audacious: to prepare for the day when humanity needed to stand against the galaxy. That day had come. In an underground facility deep beneath the Rockies, General Marcus Steele walked through the vast halls of the Project Phoenix Command Center. Engineers and scientists bustled around him, their faces lit by holographic displays. Every screen was alive with schematics of warships, drones, and experimental weapons. He stopped before a reinforced door that required 3 levels of clearance to open. Beyond it lay a massive hangar, its walls lined with sleek, dark gray vessels. These weren't ordinary ships. They were stealth dreadnoughts, designed to outmaneuver, outgun, and outblast anything in the galaxy. Dr. Elena Park, the chief engineer, approached him, a tablet in hand. "General, the Nexus-class dreadnoughts are nearly operational. We've integrated the new plasma shielding and quantum drive systems. They'll be faster than anything the Council has ever seen." Marcus nodded, his expression grim. "Good. The Council thinks we're weak because we've hidden in plain sight. They won't see us coming until it's too late." Elena hesitated. "Do you think it's wise to provoke them, General? We're talking about an alliance of civilizations that have ruled the stars for millennia." He turned to her, his eyes hard. "Dr. Park, history has shown one thing. Underestimating humanity is always a mistake." Meanwhile, Ambassador Diana Hayes had returned to Earth, her humiliation transforming into determination. She met with President Kane in the war room, where holograms of the galaxy's major factions floated in the air. "They mocked us," Diana said, her voice steady but sharp. "But we've studied them. We know their weaknesses." President Kane gestured to one of the holograms, highlighting the Threxian Empire, the loudest voice in Earth's rejection. "Vorath will expect us to retaliate with brute force," he said, "but we'll be smarter than that. Diana, I need you to lead a diplomatic team to Threxian territory." Diana's brow furrowed. "You want me to negotiate with the same counselor who humiliated us?" "Not negotiate," Kane replied. "Distract. Keep them watching one hand while we strike with the other." Far from Earth, news of humanity's outrage reached the Galactic Council. Most species dismissed it as empty bluster, but a few were uneasy. The silent observer from the chamber, now revealed as an intelligence agent named Sylar, reported back to their enigmatic superior. "The humans are reacting as expected," Sylar said, their voice calm. "Anger, defiance, and a sudden burst of activity. But their speed and coordination are unsettling." The superior, a figure shrouded in a holographic projection, responded with a low hum. "Monitor them closely. If they are preparing for war, we must ensure they don't get far enough to become a threat." Sylar smiled faintly. "Humans are unpredictable. That's what makes them dangerous, but also fascinating." Back on Earth, preparations accelerated. Hidden shipyards in orbit began to assemble fleets of warships, their sleek forms designed for speed and stealth. Experimental weapons were tested on asteroids, their destructive power causing shockwaves felt across the solar system. As the final pieces of Project Phoenix fell into place, President Kane addressed the world once more. His image was broadcast to every corner of human space, his voice steady and resolute. "We were mocked, humiliated, and dismissed," he began. "But humanity has always thrived in the face of adversity. We do not seek war, but we will not shy away from it. Let the galaxy know this. Earth will rise, and we will be respected." In the shadows of the galaxy, humanity was awakening. and the Galactic Council would soon realize they had made a grave mistake. The storm was brewing, and humanity's fury was about to be unleashed. The gathering storm. The galaxy had not yet felt the tremors of what was coming, but Earth was already preparing for war. Every nation, every colony, and every government was united under a single banner. Earth was no longer just a speck in the galaxy. It was about to make its mark. The Galactic Council had ignited a fire that could not be extinguished. In the heart of Earth's military operations, General Marcus Steele paced in front of a holographic display. His eyes traced the movements of the fleet, dozens of Nexus-class dreadnoughts, the pinnacle of human engineering. Each ship was an embodiment of Earth's defiance, designed for swift strikes, devastating firepower, and stealth. The fleet was ready, but Steele knew that the real test was still to come. They had to move first, or risk being crushed under the weight of the Galactic Council's combined forces. "General, everything is on schedule," reported Colonel Harper, his most trusted officer. "The Nexus-class ships are fully equipped, and we've also made advancements on the stealth cloak prototype. Our ships will be invisible to their scanners." Steele nodded, but there was a cold determination in his gaze. "Good, but we need more than just technology. We need to send a message." The Threxians were the loudest in mocking us. "They'll be our first target. When we strike, we need to make sure every species in the galaxy knows who is responsible." Meanwhile, on the far side of the galaxy, Ambassador Diana Hayes was about to make her way to the heart of Threxian space. Her mission wasn't about diplomacy. It was about keeping the Council distracted while Earth's fleet ready for action. She sat in the briefing room, her mind focused, but her heart still weighed down by the events at the Galactic Council. To the galaxy, Earth was still an insignificant species, but Diana knew the truth. Humanity was capable of more than anyone could imagine. Her mission was simple: stay within the Threxian Empire long enough to prevent the Galactic Council from acting. She needed to keep them watching and unsure of what Earth was truly planning. Diana had no intention of staying silent while the galaxy mocked her people, but her role was to stall, mislead, and, if necessary, deceive. It was a dangerous game, but one she was prepared to play. Back on Earth, the atmosphere was charged with anticipation. News broadcasts of Earth's military preparations flooded the airwaves, and people across the planet began to feel the weight of what was coming. Earth was no longer a quiet player in galactic affairs. It was stepping into the fray. But the true scale of what Earth had built in secret was still a mystery to most of the population. President Kane stood before a massive holographic map of the galaxy, staring at the coordinates for the Threxian Empire. His advisors stood in a circle, each one offering their thoughts on what needed to be done. The threat wasn't just about military might. It was about humanity proving its place in the universe. They would no longer be treated like children. "We've built these ships in the dark," Kane said, his voice low but powerful. "Now we show the galaxy that we are not to be dismissed. The Threxians will feel the full force of our retaliation, and when they do, the Galactic Council will have no choice but to acknowledge us." Across the stars, the Galactic Council remained blissfully unaware of the storm brewing. They were too busy congratulating themselves on Earth's failed request for membership. The Threxian Empire, the most powerful military faction in the galaxy, had led the charge in ridiculing Earth, and the Council, in their arrogance, saw humanity as nothing more than a nuisance. But that would soon change. Back in the secret hangars on Earth, the first of the Nexus-class dreadnoughts prepared for launch. The engines hummed with power, and the crews moved with precision. Each dreadnought was capable of delivering a devastating blow, not just in terms of firepower, but in psychological warfare. The Threxian Empire and the rest of the galaxy would understand that humanity was not to be trifled with. Marcus Steele watched as the ships took their positions. His mind raced with strategies, but one thing was certain: the first strike would be swift and powerful. They would not wait for the Council to make the first move. Earth would lead the charge. As Diana approached Threxian space, she kept her emotions in check. Her mission was dangerous, but it was essential. The diplomatic talks she had arranged with the Threxian Empire were meant to keep them distracted, to make them believe Earth was merely angry but unwilling to escalate into a full-scale war. She hoped her presence would buy Earth's military enough time to prepare. But Diana knew that the galaxy was not prepared for the strength of humanity. They were not prepared for the wrath of a species that had been humiliated and underestimated for far too long. When the time came, Earth would show them what it meant to truly be insignificant. In the shadows of the galaxy, the Galactic Council's ignorance would prove to be their greatest mistake. The countdown to humanity's retaliation had begun, and the galaxy would soon learn that Earth was no longer a pawn to be played. It was a force to be reckoned with. The first strike. The first wave was launched under the cover of darkness, their ships invisible to all but the most advanced detection systems, systems that the Galactic Council had no reason to suspect Earth possessed. The Nexus-class dreadnoughts were now in motion, their massive frames gliding through space at near silence, each ship a perfect machine of war, an extension of humanity's fury. General Marcus Steele stood at the heart of Earth's military command center, eyes glued to the holographic map of the galaxy. His hands rested lightly on the table as a digital countdown flashed in front of him, the seconds ticking down to the moment when everything would change. "General, the fleet is in position," reported Colonel Harper, voice steady but tinged with anticipation. Steele didn't respond immediately. Instead, his eyes fixed on the flashing red dot that represented the Threxian capital, Zorith Prime, the heart of the Threxian Empire. He knew what was at stake. They had only one shot at this. If they failed, the Council would crush them without hesitation. But Steele had no doubt that Earth's fleet would succeed. The preparation, the secrecy, the years of hiding their true strength, it would all pay off. "Send the signal," Steele ordered. With that simple command, Earth's military unleashed its fury. The Nexus-class dreadnoughts surged forward in a coordinated strike, their advanced cloaking technology allowing them to appear out of nowhere, a deadly surprise for the Threxians. The ships were swift, their engines roaring to life as they engaged their hyperdrives, jumping from one point in space to another in an instant. Within moments, they were within striking distance of Zorith Prime, in the heart of the Threxian War Command. Councillor Voreth sat back in his chair, a smug smile on his face as he received the latest reports. The humans were angry, that was clear, but their military was still primitive. They were not a real threat. The arrogance of the Galactic Council had led them to believe they could continue ignoring humanity, and Voreth was convinced it would remain that way. But as he turned to a new report, something flashed on his screen. A series of blips. At first, they seemed like random anomalies. But then his eyes widened. The blips weren't anomalies. They were ships, fast-moving and untraceable. "Report," Voreth barked. Before his officers could respond, alarms blared throughout the room. A massive wave of ships, appearing from nowhere, had just breached the Threxian defense perimeter. There were dozens of them, large, sleek vessels that were faster and far more advanced than anything they had seen before. "They're humans," one of Voreth's officers stammered. "Impossible. How are their ships cloaked?" Back on Earth, the news broke like a thunderclap across the planet. Humanity had struck first. The broadcast showed images of the fleet in action, with streams of plasma fire cutting through the darkness of space. There were no words for it, just the sight of humanity's wrath being unleashed upon the Threxian capital. President Kane stood before the Global Assembly, his expression unshakable as the images of the battle unfolded in front of him. His voice rang out across every broadcast. "This is the dawn of a new era for Earth. The Galactic Council thought they could mock us, humiliate us, but humanity will not bow. We will not be silenced. Today, we take our place among the stars." Diana Hayes, deep within Threxian space, received word of the attack. The news hit her like a shockwave. She had been playing her part as the diplomatic distraction, keeping the Threxian leadership engaged, while Earth's military prepared for the moment they would strike. She had expected Earth to retaliate, but not with such force, not so soon. Her heart raced as she processed the information. The Threxian capital was under attack. Earth had done it. They had made their move. The Galactic Council would never see it coming. Diana quickly activated her secure communicator, sending a message back to Earth. "We've done it. The first strike is a success. The Threxians are distracted, but we can't keep this up for long. They will retaliate. Make sure the fleet is ready." On Zorath Prime, the Threxian leadership scrambled to respond to the unexpected onslaught. The Threxian Empire had never faced an enemy so bold, so capable. The humans were striking with the full force of their hidden might, and Vorith could only watch as his defenses crumbled. "Deploy our full fleet," Vorith ordered, his voice filled with panic. "We can't let them breach the capital." As the Threxian fleet mobilized, Steele watched the battle unfold on his command center screens. The Nexus-class dreadnoughts were overwhelming the enemy with superior tactics, speed, and firepower. For the first time in history, a human fleet was forcing a galactic empire to retreat. The Threxian ships, though formidable, were no match for Earth's newly developed technology and strategic precision. "We've got them on the run," Colonel Harper reported, his voice tinged with excitement. "The Threxians are retreating. Their defenses are crumbling." But Steele knew this was only the beginning. This first strike would send a message to the Galactic Council, but the real battle had yet to come. The fight for humanity's future in the stars had only just begun. Far from Earth, in the halls of the Galactic Council, panic began to spread as the news reached them. The Threxian Empire, the strongest military power in the galaxy, was under attack. The humans had done what no one thought possible. They had struck first, and they had done it with such precision and strength that the galaxy's most powerful empire was on the back foot. The counselors could not believe it. How had humanity hidden such a force for so long? And now, the question was no longer about whether Earth would be humiliated. It was whether the Galactic Council could stop them before they shook the very foundations of galactic power. As Steele watched the unfolding conflict from Earth's command center, he knew one thing for sure. The Galactic Council had underestimated humanity. And now, the consequences of that mistake would be felt across the stars. The Galactic Council strikes back. The reaction from the Galactic Council was swift, and it was ruthless. The very core of galactic power had been shaken by Earth's unexpected first strike, and now they were determined to reassert their dominance. In their eyes, humanity was a threat, an upstart race with no place among the stars. The Council had underestimated the humans, and they would not make the same mistake again. On Earth, General Marcus Steele stood before the holographic projection of the galaxy, studying the growing number of red dots representing enemy fleets. The Threxians were only the beginning. Word had spread quickly across the galaxy, and now the full might of the Galactic Council was mobilizing to crush humanity's rebellion before it could grow any stronger. "General, their response is coming," Colonel Harper said, his voice tight with worry. "Reports indicate that a combined fleet from the Council's most powerful species is heading our way. They've already sent reinforcements to Zorath Prime." Steele nodded grimly. The initial success had been a shock to the galaxy, but the battle was far from over. The Galactic Council had never faced an adversary like Earth before, and now they would see the full scope of humanity's determination. They had never counted on Earth's ingenuity and resilience, qualities that had been underestimated for far too long. "We have one advantage," Steele said, his voice resolute. "The Council is used to fighting predictable, weaker enemies. They won't know how to handle us. We have the initiative, and we'll use it." As Steele spoke, his thoughts were already turning to the next phase of humanity's plan. The fleet had been deployed, but it wasn't just about brute force. Earth's strength lay in its strategy, its ability to outthink and outmaneuver even the most powerful adversaries. The Nexus-class dreadnoughts were only the beginning. Humanity had more weapons in its arsenal, technologies and tactics that no one could have anticipated. And now was the time to reveal them. Meanwhile, in the heart of the Galactic Council, the atmosphere was tense. The councilors had gathered to discuss the crisis. The Threxian Empire, once the unchallenged leader of the galaxy, was in retreat. Earth had attacked, and now their fleets were moving closer to Council space. Councilor Voreth, still reeling from the shock of the human attack, stood before the assembled leaders, his anger palpable. These humans have no place in the galaxy. They are nothing but a primitive race. We cannot allow them to challenge the power of the Galactic Council. I agree. Councilor Illyra, a member of the Vulcan species, spoke up, her voice cold and calculating. We cannot allow this rebellion to spread. Earth must be made an example of. If we let them get away with this, the entire galaxy will question our authority. Councilor Ruthnar, a representative of the Karith species, nodded in agreement. We will strike back with full force. We cannot afford to allow them to gain any ground. They are too dangerous to be left unchecked. But Councilor Talia, representing the Atranians, voiced a different opinion. We have underestimated the humans, but we cannot underestimate them again. They are not as weak as we believed. I suggest we approach this more carefully. Direct confrontation could lead to unnecessary losses. Enough. Voreth interrupted, his voice booming. We've given them enough time to gather their strength. We strike now, and we destroy them before they can do any more damage. With a unanimous decision, the Council issued their orders. A full-scale counterattack would be launched against Earth. The Council's most advanced fleets, led by the most powerful species in the galaxy, would descend upon humanity with the intention of ending this rebellion before it could even take root. The galaxy would not be threatened by a race as insignificant as humanity. Back on Earth, the military was preparing for the inevitable. Humanity's success had caught the galaxy by surprise, but Steele knew that the real challenge was yet to come. The Galactic Council would not stand idly by as their empire was threatened by a single planet. They would retaliate with everything they had. Prepare the fleet for the worst, Steele ordered, his voice resolute. The Council's response is coming. They'll come at us with everything they've got. We need to be ready. The Nexus-class dreadnoughts were already deployed, but Earth had more than just ships in its arsenal. The battle had only begun, and humanity was ready to take the fight to the stars. The Stellar Shield, a top-secret weapon developed by Earth's best minds, was now ready to be deployed. A defensive system capable of neutralizing even the most powerful weapons the Council could throw at them. As the Council's fleet began to gather in deep space, humanity prepared to make its stand. The first wave of attack was only the beginning. Earth was ready for war, ready to defend its place in the galaxy, and ready to show the Council that humanity would never back down. At the edge of the galaxy, the Council fleets moved forward, gathering speed as they headed for Earth. Their ships were massive, equipped with weapons capable of obliterating entire planets. But this time, it was different. This time, they were not dealing with an unarmed, defenseless species. They were up against humanity, an unpredictable, relentless force, fueled by the desire to protect their home and their future. As the first Council ships broke through the atmosphere of Earth's solar system, they found themselves facing the unknown. Humanity had made its mark, and there was no turning back now. The galaxy's fate hung in the balance, and soon all would learn the true power of Earth's people. The Council had struck back, but Earth was ready to fight, and this time, the galaxy would be forced to recognize humanity's place in the stars. The war to end all wars. As the vast fleets of the Galactic Council descended upon Earth, the tension between the two forces reached its peak. The cold expanse of space became a battleground, the stage for a war unlike any the galaxy had ever seen. The Council believed their overwhelming strength would crush the humans, but they had underestimated Earth's resolve. On Earth, General Marcus Steele watched as the approaching council ships appeared on every monitor. His heart raced, not from fear, but from the unshakable belief that humanity had something no other species had ever shown: determination. The first wave had already come and gone, but this time, the enemy was sending their full force. It would be a fight to the end, and humanity was ready. "Ready the stellar shield," Steele ordered. The weapon, which had been developed in secret for years, was humanity's trump card. It was Earth's answer to the advanced weaponry of the Galactic Council. The stellar shield would deflect even the most devastating blows, giving humanity a fighting chance to hold its ground. "General, the first council ships are entering Earth's atmosphere," Colonel Harper reported, his voice strained with urgency. "Their ships are massive. This isn't just a battle. It's an invasion." Steele didn't hesitate. "We've been preparing for this moment our entire lives. We won't back down now. This is our home." As the battle raged on, the stellar shield was deployed. It flared to life, casting a protective barrier around the planet. The Council's weapons, though powerful, couldn't break through the shield's defenses. For the first time in the history of the galaxy, Earth was standing its ground against a force many times its size. The Galactic Council's leaders were watching the battle unfold with growing frustration. The humans, they thought, were nothing more than ants before the might of the galaxy's greatest civilizations. But now, the humans were proving to be an incredibly resilient species, capable of matching their superior technology with sheer willpower. Councillor Voreth growled, staring at the holographic map of the battle. "How is this possible? Their defenses are holding up against our strongest weapons." Councillor Ruthnar, a member of the Kurith species, gritted his teeth. "It seems Earth has hidden more strength than we realized. But we won't be fooled again. We need to break them before they grow too powerful." Talia, the Etranian representative, spoke cautiously. "If we strike them now, we risk escalating this further. Their forces are more organized than we thought. We need a more calculated approach." But Voreth was unrelenting. "No, we crush them now. All fleets, full assault." Back on Earth, General Steele was coordinating the defense with unparalleled precision. The human forces had grown stronger since the first wave of the Council's attack, and their forces were now unified in purpose. Humanity was no longer simply defending Earth. They were fighting for their survival, and they were determined to win. The battle took a dramatic turn as Earth's Phoenix-class starships, sleek, fast, and heavily armed, launched a counteroffensive. The Phoenix-class were the perfect balance of speed and power, allowing human forces to strike swiftly at Council ships while evading counterattacks. The Galactic fleet was caught off guard, unable to fully retaliate against the agility of Earth's forces. "Now, Colonel," Steele shouted, "hit them hard. While they're distracted by the Phoenixes, we go for the heart of their fleet." The humans were relentless, their attacks coordinated with precision, forcing the Council to retreat to regroup. The unexpected strength of humanity's defense shocked the Galactic Council's commanders. This was no longer a fight between unequal forces. It was a battle of will, and the humans were proving they were not about to lose their home. In space, the Nexus-class dreadnoughts loomed, their massive structures dwarfing the surrounding Council ships. Humanity had set up defensive positions on every front, and the stellar shield was holding firm. For all the firepower the Council had brought to bear, it wasn't enough to break through. As Steele watched the battle unfold from the command center, he knew the tide had shifted. The Galactic Council, despite their technological superiority, could not break the spirit of humanity. Earth had proven that it could adapt, evolve, and fight in ways the Council had never imagined. "We're doing it," Harper said, his eyes wide with disbelief. "We're holding them off." Steele's gaze remained steady as he surveyed the battlefield. "This isn't over yet. The Council won't stop until they've wiped us out completely. But they'll learn something today. They'll learn that humanity doesn't die easily." The Council's ships were beginning to falter, but their leaders refused to admit defeat. In the heart of their fleet, Counselor Voreth glared at the battlefield, unable to comprehend why his fleets were being forced back. Why aren't they breaking? We have the strongest ships in the galaxy. They are stronger than we thought. Talia replied quietly. Perhaps too strong. They are not going to give up. For the first time in the Council's long history, they found themselves facing a species that was not afraid to fight back. Humanity had shown them that their reign of dominance had come to an end. The war was far from over, but the Galactic Council knew one thing for certain. They had underestimated the humans, and now they were paying the price. As Earth's forces continued to push back the galactic fleets, Steele's mind raced with possibilities. What had started as a desperate struggle for survival had now evolved into something much greater, a battle for the future of the galaxy. Humanity had taken its place among the stars, and there would be no turning back. The Galactic Council would have to decide if they wanted to annihilate Earth or accept that the humans were here to stay. One thing was clear. The war for Earth's survival had just begun, and humanity would not be silenced. The dawn of a new era. The war had dragged on for months, each day becoming more brutal and uncertain. But as the battle for Earth raged, something unprecedented began to happen. Humanity, against all odds, began to win. The Galactic Council had underestimated the sheer will of the human spirit, and now they were paying the price. General Marcus Steele stood on the command deck of the Nexus-class dreadnought, watching the holographic display of the battlefield. The Council's once mighty fleet was in retreat, their ships crippled or destroyed by Earth's relentless counteroffensive. But Steele knew that the end of the war was far from certain. The Council's leaders were not the type to admit defeat easily, and humanity's victory was still hanging in the balance. "We've pushed them back, General," Colonel Harper said, his voice filled with disbelief. "The enemy's forces are in full retreat. They're losing control of their ships." Steele nodded, his gaze focused on the battle. "It's not over yet. The Council won't give up without a fight. They may retreat, but they'll regroup. We have to stay vigilant." Earth's fleet had been battered, but they had adapted. The stellar shield had protected them from the worst of the Council's weapons, and the Phoenix-class starships had delivered devastating blows to their enemy. Humanity had proven that they could fight in ways the Galactic Council had never imagined. The tide had turned, and the Council was forced to retreat to the farthest corners of the galaxy. But victory was not yet secured. Meanwhile, aboard the flagship of the Galactic Council, Counselor Voreth was seething with rage. His once proud fleet had been shattered, and his hopes of crushing Earth were crumbling. He had never anticipated that humans, these so-called primitive beings, could mount such an effective defense. "Prepare the next phase of the assault," Voreth ordered, his voice cold with fury. "We will not let this insignificant planet stand in our way." Talia, the Etranian representative, shook her head. "Voreth, we've already sustained massive losses. The humans have proven themselves stronger than we thought. If we continue this war, we risk total annihilation. I will not bow to these inferior beings." Voreth spat. "They will learn their place in the galaxy." Back on Earth, the human forces were not resting. Despite their victory, they knew the war was far from over. They had learned much from the battle, and now they were preparing for the next phase of the fight. Steele and his commanders understood that the Galactic Council would not stop until Earth had been destroyed, but humanity was determined to hold its ground. "We've held them off for this long," Steele said, addressing his crew, "but we cannot afford to grow complacent. The Council may regroup, but we will be ready. We fight not just for Earth, but for the future of humanity." Harper nodded. "We've got the stellar shield and the Phoenixes. We're ready for whatever comes next." Steele looked out the window at the stars, the vastness of space stretching before him. Humanity was no longer the underdog. They had proven that they could fight and win against overwhelming odds. And as the remnants of the Galactic Council's fleet began to regroup, it became clear that Earth had earned its place among the stars. In the quiet of space, a new dawn was beginning. The Galactic Council, despite their superior technology, had been humbled by humanity's unyielding spirit. The war had shown them something they had never anticipated: the strength of Earth's will to survive and thrive. The next chapter in the galaxy's history was being written. The humans had fought back, and the Galactic Council was learning the hard truth. Earth was not just a planet to be conquered. It was a force to be reckoned with. As the human forces prepared for the next battle, Steele's mind was focused on the bigger picture. The Council might be retreating now, but Earth's struggle for survival was far from over. In the depths of space, a new era was beginning, a time when humanity would no longer be seen as weak or insignificant. They had proven that they could defend their home, and now they would fight for their future. The war had changed everything. No longer would Earth be a forgotten corner of the galaxy. No longer would humanity be considered easy prey. The Galactic Council had been shaken, and the universe would never look at Earth the same way again. With every victory, humanity was earning its place in the galaxy, not just as a survivor, but as a power in its own right. And as the dust began to settle, General Steele knew one thing for certain: humanity had proven its strength. The Council may have been humbled, but the war was far from over, and Earth would fight until the very end. The end of one war, the beginning of a new era.